Hello and welcome. This is Volfstag's guide to the Mad Fafnir. In this video we'll be going through Fafnir's strength and weaknesses, what units to bring, what equipment to use, and what happens during the fight itself. Fafnir is a melee beast with high defense and high HP. His skill attacks will hit the nearest enemy row with earth damage and apply 20% defense down on the player's team. He is strong against earth and dark attacks, have average resistance to water, and is very weak to fire and light attacks. This means your team will need to have the ability to deal light and fire damage, and offer resistance to earth damage. Finally, the green crystals in this encounter have two different abilities. The narrow crystals will lower your skill gauge and defense down for 5 turns to 2 random units, while the far row crystals will do powerful earth damage and as well as skill gauge down to the front hero. For this encounter, Fafnir has a barrier that is immune to all attacks and requires a large number of hits to bring down before Fafnir can be directly damaged. To bring down the barrier, units with the ability to multi-hit is desirable. Multi-hit is a game mechanic where a unit will hit for a certain number of times against 1 or 2 targets in one turn. For him though, his skill action barrier will protect your team for 2 turns from Fafnir's physical earth damage. Odin, his skill action judgment, will hit Fafnir's shield for 5 times. Erd with the limit break Divine Wrath, which is the same limit break as Heimdall and Odin, is great for breaking down Fafnir's shield in one turn. Cannon, Wolfgang, and Nautica, having them hold the Volfstag and Icicle Cannon is great, as both weapons will do 10 hits on the barrier. Cannon is overall preferred as a weapon and action skill does strong fire damage, which Fafnir and his crystals are very weak against. Lisa is also a good choice to bring as well, as her Oath Blades hits 2 times on 2 targets, as well as her action skill that hits 7 times on 2 targets. Phalang is overall recommended melee to bring, as her action skill will hit 6 times. While her Dragon Columns does not have multi-hit, the fire damage it does will hurt Fafnir and his crystals. Also, given some defensive gear, she can tank Fafnir as well. Momoji will be an odd choice as her dark attacks will be significantly reduced. However, her action skill does 6 attacks on 1 target, making her an ideal choice to bring down Fafnir's shield once the crystal has been destroyed. She can also use bows that cause sleep or slow, where it has a chance to affect Fafnir once the shield is down. This means when Fafnir is affected by slow or silence, it will prolong the time when the shield appears again. Finally, Risa with her weapons, Savage Hounds, hits 4 times with fire damage on a single target, and her action skills, which also does fire damage, hits 5 times on a single unit, is also useful in this encounter. Once again, weapons with the multi-hit skill is highly desired. Any light and fire based weapons will do significant damage as well. Autumn Rain is a easily accessible weapon that hits 4 times in 1 turn. Although Wolfgang is targeted towards Asia, its 2 hit in 1 turn makes it a considerable choice for the barrier. Both the Volfstag and the Icicle Cannon is top tier weapons for this fight as they hit 10 times in 1 turn against the barrier. Thysis Coat is good in regards to its fire magic damage in this encounter. If you happen to be playing during the Christmas period, Marnie's little helper sleep ability is useful here as well. When Fafnir's barrier is down, the Dwarven Crossbow or the Zachariah Bow will have a chance at locking down Fafnir's barrier for a couple of turns before he is able to put up his barrier again. If you manage to get the Valhalla Sword or the Valhalla Staff from the Onslaught Tower events, the weapon ability, Petrify, Flash to Stone ability, has a chance to work on Fafnir as well. I am going to show you 2 different encounters with Fafnir, one at 5-star difficulty and one at 6-star difficulty, but first I'll go over the gear to use throughout the encounter. For Phalang, I'm going to use her as a tank, so I gave her a few defensive items to tank in front. I gave her the Winged Helm, the Bangle of Defense, and the Ring of Niflheim. For Odin, I have 2 Ringanies equipped to get rid of the defensive debuff from the crystals and Fafnir's skill action. For Baldur, his equipment isn't all that great, as there isn't many multi-hit magic weapons out there. But don't be like me and didn't change his accessories because I was lazy. For cannon, I was lucky enough to get a Deforester. Unfortunately, I didn't have a icicle cannon, so I am using the Jormungand bow instead. I also have 2 Primo Blasters for this fight, which is going to be great against the green crystals. For Momiji, I have the Dwarven Bow and the Zachariah Bow equipped. I left the suits on as they have a chance to stun throughout the encounter with Fafnir. In this 5-star connect, I am going to start the encounter with 2 players at different levels. If you look at the top right corner below Fafnir's HP bar, there's a silence debuff icon. This means the silence will stop Fafnir's barrier ability for 2 turns. When Fafnir is facing a team and kicks the ground, that is when he does his skill action that does heavy earth damage and applies defense down on the front unit. Also, when he jumps in the air, that is his cue to use his barrier ability. In 5-star connect, it takes 15 hits from multi-hit abilities to bring it down for direct damage. Use the Divine Wrath Limit Burst to bring down the shield in 1 turn. If you don't bring down the shield fast enough, there will be no damage dealt to Fafnir, which will result in a failure of the encounter. What I usually do is hold on to my Limit Burst ability till the barrier comes up, as sometimes people use the wrong Limit Burst or use the Limit Burst at the wrong time. When the barrier isn't brought down in a timely manner, I can use the Limit Burst to bring down the barrier quickly for direct damage. Also, at the start of the 2nd round, a fair debuff appeared very briefly, where it delayed the barrier for 2 turns. Finally, as we head towards the end, you can see Fei Lang is doing very well as a tank for this encounter. Overall, the 5-star difficulty isn't very hard, and I believe you are able to field a team that is much lower powered than mine. Next, we're going to take a look at 6-star Fafnir. Because 6-star Fafnir is much more difficult, I'm going to take out Fei Lang for him as a tank, and swap Cannon for Lisa, as Lisa is much more upgraded than Cannon. For Heimdall, I have the usual tank equipment on him. If you have Fei Lang upgraded deeply in purple, Fei Lang is able to tank Fafnir at a higher level as well. For Lisa, I have all the multi-hit equipment on her, as she will be my main unit to take down the barrier throughout the encounter. I didn't succeed in this encounter, but I would like to show you the difference between the 2 fights regardless of the outcome. 6-star Fafnir's barrier requires 20 multi-hits to bring down instead of 15 with 5-star Fafnir. The skill gauge reduction is much more noticeable, the heavy earth damage and the defense down debuff happens more frequently. If you don't have a way to remove the defense down debuff, the earth damage can build up very quickly, the timing between the two barriers appearing after each other has shortened. It is possible to have one barrier disappear for 3 seconds or 5 seconds, and the second barrier appear afterwards shortly. This makes the timing of the usage of limit burst more critical, and applying the multi-hit skills much more frequently much more important. So that was the first barrier being brought down by the limit burst, and quickly he has his second barrier up again. Now, because we don't have any limit burst to bring down the second barrier, we have to rely on the multi-hit skills from equipment and from the unit's skill action. As you can see here, he has used a different limit burst on the barrier. It has hardly any effects. I think that limit burst hits for 6 times, which is not really adequate to bring down the barrier. You really need someone to use Divine Wrath that hits for 20 times to bring down the barrier straight away. If we don't bring down the barrier straight away in one turn, we're going to spend a lot of time trying to bring it down through normal means. So as you can just see there, Fafnir just stomped on the ground. That means he has used his skill action, doing heavy earth damage and applying defense down on the front hero. I think by now the barrier has been up for a minute, and that's too long for any barrier to be up and not getting any direct damage dealt. Also, as you notice here, I think the team on the right has the Valhalla sword. It's able to stone the boss for 1 turn. Unfortunately, it works while the barrier is up. It doesn't do anything as the barrier is still up and no damage is applied. As a final note, as we head towards the end, the encounter for 6-star Fafnir isn't difficult, but it does require you to manage your hero's skill action and limit burst in a timely manner. If your team doesn't have the tools to deal with the barrier that appears frequently, you will have a lot of trouble passing the fight. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video and took something away from it. I'll be back later with another Connect video, and I'll see you shortly.